Hi, I'm Melanie. Welcome back to our house to homestead. Join my family and I as we convert our house on the outskirts of Auckland, New Zealand into a homestead where we grow, harvest and cook our own food from scratch. Hello and welcome back to our house to homestead. It's been a bit of a crazy time here at the homestead. Of course, in New Zealand, when it's spring, we're actually moving into Christmas season, so we're trying to round out the year to get into our summer holidays and also stop for Christmas, and there's lots of public holidays. So it's a little bit mad on our life outside of the homestead, which has definitely impacted how much work we can do on the homestead. This week, we're going to finally reveal to you the veggie garden boxes. So these vegetable garden boxes were a plan so that I could extend the amount of edible food that we can grow. I already have an established small vegetable garden which I've been using and I'm going to continue to use until we develop the whole vegetable garden area. However, I needed a bigger box somewhere that could have things that grow for a really long time, like carrots and onions and leeks, and just spread out a little bit more. So this year I've decided for my summer crops I'm going to have tomatoes and cucumber and chilies inside the small vegetable garden that's already established, and then I've moved those longer term crops into the new vegetable garden which Ben has graciously built for me. So please join us today while I show you how we built the vegetable boxes, the development that's happening in the established box, and in part 2 of this episode you'll see how we actually plant out the sweet potatoes and make a box for that. It's very exciting. This time of year for growing is very exciting, and I know that just around the corner we'll be eating tomatoes and cucumbers and I cannot wait. This is our current garden, and you can see moving from the existing veggie garden into the berry garden area and my garlic, which is slowly chugging along over there in the corner. Underneath that pergola is where we're planning to put the new vegetable boxes. To begin, I needed to pull out all of the existing paving that was here. The paving means that there's no connection between the new soil and the soil underneath, and I want all of the microorganisms available and working together, so it's important that they came out. The existing vegetable garden is doing really well. You can see all of the companion plants here as well as a little friend that comes in. But the garden's just too small to put long-term crops like onions and leeks and carrots. So the plan is that these will be long beds for things that don't necessarily need to be accessed close to the kitchen every day. Ben built me 2 new boxes, and they're long enough that they're going to span the whole length of that paved area, but they're also wide enough that I can grow 2 rows of vegetables but also reach from one side almost to the other. It's quite important when building vegetable boxes that you take into account how far you can reach over and whether you can access from each side. The existing vegetable garden is quite overgrown and ready to have some new plants put in for summer, so I need to get in here and take some stuff out, put some new guys in. I'm taking out all of the spring root vegetables like turnips, which we don't really eat, and other companion plants that came in a pack that I purchased. There's some leafy greens in here as well that we don't really eat, and there's no point in having them in here harbouring slugs and snails if we're not going to consume them. On this new bare space, I'm adding some compost to increase the nutrient availability for the new crops. I'm not following any planned rotation yet, so it's important that I add some nutrients in case they need it. I dip my tomato plants or whatever plants I'm planting into a seaweed solution. It helps with the shock of being planted and the moisture, obviously from soaking in a solution, helps with the roots to start to develop into its new spot. In go some companion plants. These are marigolds and they work really well next to tomatoes. And now I'm using a really cool product that I got from my friend Christine. This has come from a place in Australia. She ordered them online, and basically you hook it up to something. Fortunately I have a roof of chicken wire, and you wrap it around your plant. So instead of using stakes, it's growing up a string. Very cool. She's using them in a slightly different way where she's going to be moving the actual hook around and around so you can get more tomatoes in a smaller space. I wrap them around and around and then I bury it at the bottom. Obviously as the plant gets taller it's going to pull it and provide tension to keep things in place. I like to mulch around everything to prevent water loss, and also makes it more difficult for pests to access your plants, and the microorganisms grow happily underneath. Next I add some crushed up eggshells, and this makes it harder again for the slugs and the snails to access your precious lettuces or soft leaf crops. I'm going to put a cucumber in here. It's going to grow quite big. I have a nice frame that it grows around to increase the surface area, but I need to make a little space here. This nasturtium is really good companion plant which provides a living mulch, and I'm going to take some of that and put it in the new vegetable box. My cucumbers are heavy feeder, so I'm actually going to add some nutrients underneath the compost, so some blood and bone and some sheep pellets. In goes the cucumber, and as it grows I'm going to twist it around that spiral, and it increases the surface area and also creates a bit of airflow to prevent mildew from forming. I'm adding a few extra lettuces and radicchio in here. In this section of the garden, I'm wanting to put in some beans. Ben loves beans, and this is a good spot because they can grow nice and tall and they're not going to block out the sun from things in front of them. Again, I'm going to grow these on strings, but I need to wait for the beans to be a little bit taller for me to put the strings up. The great thing about nasturtium is you can pull it to pieces and it will grow back really rapidly, so you just pick and choose where it goes. We are big pickle consumers in this house, so I'm actually experimenting this year. These are gherkins which I'm planting in now. The gherkins are possibly going to be smaller than cucumbers, and I'm going to try pickling both to see which we prefer, and next year I'll know which one I focus on. Again, these are going to be trained up strings to increase the surface area for them. Here is the final vegetable box in place. I've put compost all through it and then a layer of mulch. So far I've planted fennel, and in front of that are teeny tiny leeks. I'm just adding a nasturtium in here to increase the companion plants. I'm probably going to put some calendula in here as well. In the far edge there you can see an existing broccoli. I didn't have the heart to chuck it out. It hasn't actually produced broccoli yet. There's a smaller one in front of it, but I'm hopeful that it still might, otherwise it will get turfed. Now I'm adding in an apple cucumber. We haven't grown this before as a family, so it will be exciting to see if Ava enjoys them. And again, I'm using one of those frames to allow for increased surface area, airflow, and keep things off the floor so that I can add more plants. In front of George there are some snow peas. These are going to climb up frames very similar. They had a bit of a hard start with bugs attacking them, so I'm just hoping for the best there. But this is our finished vegetable garden box. I'm yet to plant in some carrot seeds and some onions and some spring onions, but I'm really happy where we're at so far. I hope you enjoyed this episode, building the vegetable box and developing the existing boxes for our summer crops. Join us for part 2 so that you can see how to plant your sweet potato slips and the development of the final vegetable box for now. Also coming up is our episode on the development of the orchard. Don't miss that one either. Details for any products and equipment used are in the description below. Hit subscribe to follow along with all of the developments on our house to homestead. I'll be posting more videos on growing, harvesting and cooking our food. Don't miss out. See you next week, team.